The following program contains immature subject matter that may not be suitable for boring grown-ups.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. What you just heard is the opener for every single episode of the Tech Valley Science Center Children's Show. It's an animated show that teaches both science and the Bible from a young Earth creation perspective. Many of you will already know me as the host and producer of Genesis Week, a creation science TV show that's aired internationally for about 11 years now. I was on the road with my traveling creation museum for about 10 years of full-time ministry before I started producing Genesis Week. And when I first went on the road, I firmly believe the Lord told me, don't forget the children. And I'll be honest, at that point in my life, I was kind of terrified of kids, even though I had already been teaching science and technology to kids since I was 16 years old, when I began my 21-year career at the world's first summer science camp here in Canada. The Lord had already prepared and trained me to be able to teach incredibly complex science and tech, even to young children. And my presentations to children became pretty much the favorite part of my ministry. As early as 2012, combining all of my children's programs and VBSs into what was originally a live-action children's show, I had multiple episodes written and even principal videography completed in 2014. But I had never worked with child actors before. I had concerns about how to even do that and was considering producing it as an animation instead. I was discussing my thoughts and concerns with Jeff Thiessen, the station manager of Miracle Channel here in Canada, and Jeff has decades of children's television productions under his belt. So he made a significant point. He said, animation is timeless. It was at that point that I overhauled my children's show to be primarily animated, with some live action thrown in here and there, similar to how The Amazing World of Gumball transposes, 2D, 3D, and real-world scenes. And thus was born the Tech Valley Science Center, which shares the name of my Science and Tech Education Center here in the Ottawa Valley. The show involves myself and 5 super genius kids who come to the Tech Valley Science Center from all over Canada. We use our inventions to explore God's creation and learn science and technology within a biblical framework. The hope is that every show will also have an associated science short with experiments kids can do at home, as well as home educators using it as part of their educational programs. What you are seeing here is the 3D world of the Tech Valley Science Center as it is constructed so far. There's the labs, the aircraft hangar, which houses our Chrono commuter, which is a time and space traveling shuttle that the kids and I design and build, with which to explore other planets, moons, Saturn's rings, and even learn about complex science like Einstein's E=mc squared, as well as maths like trigonometry and calculus. TVSC even has its own nuclear power plant to keep up with the high power needs of the crazy science experiments the kids conduct. From the microscopic to the astronomic, we learn of God's incredible creation. Now, unfortunately, at this time, I am limited in what I can show you because most of it simply has not yet been produced. And that's where you come in and where you can help with this crowdfunding. We have sketches for the 3D modeling so far of 2 characters. Myself, of course, as my cartoonist had already previously created artwork for me for t-shirts and my science shorts on YouTube. He also roughed out Jeremy, one of the kids who is a First Nations kid who grew up on the remote reserves of northwestern Ontario. Jeremy looked around at the water problems on the reserve that never seemed to get solved, so he set out to learn everything he could about it in trying to bring good water to his reserve. He wound up teaching himself chemistry and wound up at the Tech Valley Science Center with the other super genius kids. Now, the start of every show is different, in a similar vein to how the Simpsons episodes start off, and at the start of each show, Jeremy is test flying his rocket pack, flying out of control and spelling a different word in the sky with his trail of smoke. The word he spells out always relates to the topic of that episode. Jeremy is also obsessed with cultures and languages, and he will constantly be bringing up his knowledge of the First Nations and ancient cultures from all over the world as it relates to the topic of the day. Each of the kids in the show are there to be relatable by children all over Canada and even the world. This way, children watching the program can relate to it and live vicariously through the children in the show, with the hope and intent that the kids watching will be inspired to explore God's creation and science and technology, and ultimately know and understand the Creator himself, whom the Apostle John tells us in John chapter 1 verse 3 is none other than Jesus Christ. And let us also remember what surveys have taught us. One study showed that 85% of the Christians surveyed became Christians between the ages of 4 and 14. Exactly the target age group for this show. 85%. Now, so far, I have been funding this entirely out of my own pocket and one anonymous donation. So your giving to this crowdfund is going towards several things. I now have a team of writers, something I've never had before, and they are excellent writers. I would like to pay them generously for their talents and time. One of them has acted in multiple Christian movies and even wrote one of those movies. I now have 3 different 3D artists, not including myself, and 2 of them need a computer to perform their work. These particular 2 are very young, not even adults yet, but they have not only blown me away with their drive, but also with their skills and talents. But they're working on an old shared laptop that can't even run Blender, the 3D program that we're using to produce the show. I also have a team of incredible voice actors who have stepped up to the plate, and once again, I was surprised not just at who stepped up to the plate, but the raw talent that they've all demonstrated. I'm really excited to push ahead with this program. So, the first things the funds will be spent on. Number 1, buying 2 computers for 2 of my 3D artists. Myself and my anonymous donor have already kitted out the first 3D artist with a computer, and once these 2 have those computers, then all 4 of us can get to work on creating the 3D characters and the rest of the worlds that need to be created. As that is happening, the writing team and myself will meet and start by exhaustive character development. Now, Jeff Deason made a point a while back with which I agree. The majority of Christian multimedia productions are dreadfully lacking in character development. So the first priority of the writing team is deep character development of everybody, including even inanimate characters like the artificial intelligence computer that's part of the team, and Tony the T-Rex, whom the kids clone from preserved dinosaur cells. They will print Tony using their 3D bioprinter invention, and Tony will join the cast around episode 5 of the first season. Once extensive character development is finished, the writing team and I will begin writing the first season of episodes. I already have the first draft completed of the first 3 or 4 episodes, but those will at the very least be revised by the writing team, if not completely rewritten. Once the shows are written, the scripts are sent to the voice actors and we record all the voices. Once the voices are recorded, those tracks are sent on to the 3D animation team, who will then time and animate all movements with the voices, sounds, and the scenes that we render out in the final shows. You can be an important part of getting this production kicked off. Please do pray for us. We all need it. And if you can chip in even $5, don't underestimate how far that can help us in the production. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your financial support. God bless.